All right.
The Truth with Gwen Azama-Edwards, every Thursday at 6:15 on Goliath Radio. Gwen Azama-Edwards, retired city clerk, former city commissioner, sitting at Daytona Beach. The Truth with Gwen Azama-Edwards on Goliath Radio.
Stan, you've been sitting much too long, much too long. Welcome, 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 welcome to Truth, a radio program designed with you in mind, a program whose sole purpose is to empower you and our listeners for information leads to knowledge, and knowledge is you got it, power. And as always, I want to empower you to take control of your life, those things that impact you, your family, and your community. As always, too, I want you to go to the website at www.gwen-truth.com so you can access that all-powerful information via the all-important links that direct you to the all-powerful information so that you can truly, truly, truly take control. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Truth. Shout out to BCU, Bethune-Cookman University, who will have their homecoming this weekend, and we are praying they have another victory. All right, they're playing Howard University. Also, sounds like my guests might disagree. We won't listen to them on that, will we? Want to share something else too that I read in the paper. I know you guys read stuff in the paper, you just assume it's true. So I'm just going to share what was in the paper today. Of course, it was in the back pages, but it spoke to the fact that the deficit that so many people were concerned about a year, 2 years ago, or whatever, that it has been greatly reduced. You know, we should be hearing, all kind of shouts and all that kind of stuff. Okay, but it has been greatly, greatly reduced. The $1 trillion deficit that President Obama inherited is now down to 400 and some, close to 500 billion. So that has been cut pretty much in half. And last year was at 680 billion. Now we talk billion, we're talking a lot of money, I know, but we're no longer in the trillion column. So all of you who had concerns, and I gotta wonder, you know, you should too, if this health care, Obamacare is not helping with that, because that the health care costs going up year after year after year was really feeding that deficit. And that not happening anymore is actually reducing it. So, shout out. My guests tonight are individuals that I have come to know and love. I truly, truly mean that, seriously. And the young lady was a classmate with my younger son, Anthony. That's Camille Holder Brown. And her hubby, who I love just like a son, Omar. The two of them are business owners, entrepreneurs, and they own a restaurant downtown Daytona Beach, which is, number one, unusual. Number two, is kind of unusual for young people as young as them to have a business. Number three, they are individuals who care about and give back to their community. And number four, they started with a vision and they keep on keeping on as they get closer and closer to, and even where they are now, you know, there would be those who would say you guys have arrived, but I bet you've got an even bigger vision that you're working on. So we're going to hear from my guests tonight, Camille Holder Brown and Omar Brown, because as I said to Camille earlier, you know, there are some people who are not risk takers. There's some people who they get a dream, they get a vision, and all of a sudden they start killing that dream themselves. They don't wait for other people to do it. They actually start killing it themselves, as opposed to taking hold of that dream and just, you know, keeping on, not giving up, and going and going and going until you see it come to fruition. not only for you but for your kids. And I was saying to Camille, who has, how many kids you guys have now?
4 and counting.
4 and counting. They have, when they were on here before, you know, maybe it's coming on my show that makes you pregnant. I don't know. No, you get pregnant before you come on the show.
That's right.
But every time she's been on the show, she's been expecting. That's because she keeps expecting, and they have gorgeous kids who are so intelligent and independent thinkers, just like their mom and dad. And you know, my hat's off to you guys. But what we were talking about is how there are young people who do not believe they can have it all, which means having family and a business and living out your dream. And you guys are proof, you know, proof beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can have it all. It takes work, I know, but you can have it all. So Omar, before you arrived, I said to Camille, I want you guys to share with our listeners and those who will be watching the video, what got you from where you were to where you are now? You know, starting with, you know, because Camille has master's, you have, is it associate?
No, I didn't graduate. Yeah, I went to
Okay.
school for 3 years.
But even with that, you're living your dream.
Yeah.
So it can happen, right? It can happen. So share with them a little background about you so people get to know you.
Well, you know, I was born in the islands in Jamaica, and I lived there for 7 years. I moved to Canada, lived in Canada for a few years. Then I went on and moved to Brooklyn, New York, and that's pretty much where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Brooklyn is a tough place. New York is pretty tough, and you know what they say about if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. it kind of prepared me, you know, because it's
Mm-hmm.
just it's a hustling kind of city and town. Everyone has their own hustle going on, you know, side hustle, regular hustles. So it's just ingrained in us, you know. Anyone from New York, they'll come to they'll go anywhere in the world basically, and it'll just be like, okay, this is where I start.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I want to be. Let's get to it. You know what I mean? So I just have that same mentality. My wife has the same mentality, and
Our children are have the same.
Yes, yes.
our children have the same mentality. It's almost like we consider ourselves almost always behind. We're
Mm-hmm.
you know we're never satisfied. You know we have goals, and then we meet them, and then we make new goals, and then it's never a comfortable kind of situation.
And that's really what it takes to just keep on keeping on, isn't it? That you're not satisfied. You don't.
Insatiable.
Yes, absolutely. So you want more and more and more. And at the same time, you're not just doing for you. You're doing for your kids, you know, future generations, and the community as well. What about you? What's your story, Camille?
Well, I grew up here in Daytona, and I love growing up here in Daytona. So we lived in Brooklyn after I finished school in D.C. Ended up in Brooklyn where I was born, and started, you know, doing my film stuff. Actually, my first film is showing in New York this weekend. Like, oh my goodness, like 8 or 9 years after I made it, it's still getting some play up there. I'm pretty excited. So,
Oh, wonderful. Now, is that something you wrote? Or-
yeah, I wrote, directed it, acted a couple scenes in it. Omar was in it a couple scenes.
Wow, what's the name of it?
It's called a period piece.
A period piece?
Yes, it's shown in Daytona. It won best graduate film or student film at the Cinematique
wow.
Festival. Yeah. So,
Gosh, awesome.
I was doing my film stuff, and you know, you used to talk about like having it all, and you know, having it all made me it. What does having it all look like? For me, yes, I have the degree that I wanted to fall back on and to just have it and to, you know, have that power to make films. But it really meant being a mom and having a family. For me, that's what having it all meant. And doing what I love. So, you know, I've always gotten to do that. My husband, you know, worked and supported us. And it didn't look pretty all the time in the beginning, you know. It was a one-bedroom apartment with 3 kids at one point, you know, in a basement for a while, and then we moved to Jersey, and then we moved to Florida, you know, after we got laid off. And what we've learned to do is to enjoy the journey. Like, that's really, really
Yes.
challenging for some people. It's like, you know, some days you don't have, you know, more than $20 in your bank account, but you don't take it out on each other. You're like, okay, well, we're eating oatmeal this week, and we're smiling, and we're setting some new goals, and, you know, and I think that's been the great part of it. And what I notice about my husband and I is that we're both entrepreneurs, and he's always done his thing, and I've always done my thing. But when we decided to kind of combine our efforts, that's when we really started seeing results. Because when you have limited financial resources and you're trying to be an entrepreneur, and it's hard. So limited resources, but having each other's back and working on kind of the same goals, that seemed to work for us with the little small children that we've been homeschooling their entire lives, 4 of them with 1 on the way. So that's kind of what brought us here. As you probably know, we started off at the farmer's market, selling stuff, you know, selling our smoothies, which was my husband's idea. And I'm always kind of resistant in the beginning, and then I come along, and, you know, so that turned into Kale Cafe. And we still have Midtown Eco Village. And so we have our 501c3, and that's what we use, you know, when we go out to schools and do church events, and, you know, little gardens, community gardens, stuff like that. And then we have Kale Cafe.
Now, along the way, during your journey, there are those who are listening who would say, I wonder if they ever had any doubts. I wonder if they ever had any dream killers. I wonder if they ever had someone to tell them they just couldn't.
Nah,
If I had a nickel for everyone that said that, no, don't do it. You can't do it, you know.
Listen,
What we've come accustomed to is straight up sacrifice, you know. We know what we want, you know. When my wife mentioned that we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, she didn't mention that we spent more money on quality food than our rent. So people don't know that, you know. Yeah, we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, but we also ate very, very well.
and we went to 1 million field trips in New York City. My kids have been to Carnegie Hall many times.
Oh, wow.
You know, we went on a field trip to the Gullah Islands, to Penn Station, where Dr. King wrote his speech, and they were like 3 and 1.5. You know, so those are the kinds of things we do with our money. That's what's important to us.
It just depends on what you value.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, what did the naysayers say? You know, we probably all heard some of it, but
Naysayers are people that love you for the most part, and they have your best interest at heart. They are not necessarily trying to make you feel like you can't do something, but instead, if you learn to perceive it as these are warnings that they are wanting you to watch out for more than anything else, because they don't want you to fail. At the end of the day, they love you. They don't want to see you fail. I remember when my parents, that I adore, came into Kale Cafe after we'd already done signed the lease, and you know, they saw us, they were like looking at it like daunted, like, this place is going to take a lot of work. And they just was like, what have y'all got y'allself into? But of course we were creative, and then we came up with the idea, let's get on Kickstarter, you know, let's raise money. And we did it. We did it with the community, and we just did it. We made more sacrifices, and we figured it out. And Omar and Tavares, one of our employees, they spent countless hours sleeping in the shop getting it.
12 to 18.
You know, breaking
Just for the record.
all kind of rules that they weren't supposed to be doing, being contract. You know, they did it. And then, you know, recently we were looking at our first house that we wanted to purchase. And my daddy, he, you know, shout out to Real Property Management.
Yeah.
That's his franchise with Earl McCrary. He came in and he said, he looked at this house that we wanted to get, a fixer-upper, and he said, oh, it's a lot of work. I don't think y'all should go with that one. That of course made us want to get it even more. But you know, I love my parents, and they don't ever mean any harm. They just try to give me like, okay, just watch out, That's
Right,
just to watch
right,
it.
right.
So we do it to each other. We make sure we warn our children, you know, just about certain things. Proceed with caution, but
Mhm.
it's not going to stop us.
Now, you have 4 children with 1 on the way. What are some of the things that you feel that your children are picking up from you, from being around you?
They better pick up work ethic. That's the first one. They better, is, you know, there were times when, you know, our oldest children, you know, when they wouldn't see me, you know, because I worked at nights. You know, sometimes I'd work throughout the day, and then I'd come home late, so they'd wait up for me, you know, at night to come home. Oh, Daddy!
1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, so I mean, work ethic, that's it. We preach that all the time. It's never easy, you know, so hopefully that leaves an indelible imprint.
Yeah.
I think, and I also think that they see us doing something that we actually enjoy, that makes us happy, you know, and they see that it's not easy. Nothing is easy. We always tell them, there's nothing that's easy, so you have to do something that you enjoy. From day one, even in Brooklyn, I would drag them to the post office, you know, had a deadline for a screenplay competition, and they'd see me, you know, on the computer all wee hours, nursing with one hand, typing with one hand, and then hauling them in the snow or sleet, whatever, to get to this postmarked deadline. Or I'd be on stage at a film screening, again, nursing, because it seems like I've always been nursing, and always pregnant, and, you know, talking, and so they kind of, and it's very natural. Everything is very normal to them. Seeing us multitask, doing, you know, my oldest daughter and my oldest son, if you come into the store one day, you know, they may ring you up on the register if we're in there and it's busy, or they were paying on the iPad, which is the cash register. They know that they have to close the window down and ring the person up, you know. So they see that they got to be the cash register at the farmer's market in the beginning. We teach them math that way. We always combine work with play. Like if we have to go to Orlando for the day, yeah, we may go to Legoland, but we best believe we're also going to look at restaurant equipment, and we're going to go stop and pick up like a grocery list. I mean, we always say, you know, you got to plan things out and just use your time wisely. So we let them set goals, and just again, like Omar said, I said it longer, work ethic.
And the other thing is the importance of education, because I know you guys make sure they do their homework no matter what. And you say you're homeschooling them, and you've been doing that since day one, or?
Since day one.
Yeah.
Since day one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think probably more now we're more like unschoolers actually, and you know, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis? Well, today the 2 oldest ones take a science class at the Museum of Arts and Sciences. They went to Bethune-Cookman, and I love Bethune-Cookman. So great, you know, go Wildcats. So they went to a summer program there. They go to ballet, they go to jujitsu, you know, we want the best for them. We use I'm like, babe, where's your tip money? Give it to me, I gotta pay for these lessons. You know, I'm like, that's what we do. We invest in our children, you know. They are.
And our lives involved.
Yeah, around them and their activities. And, you know, to me, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy.
I mean, it's our reality. We don't know any different.
We don't know anything
you know,
different.
It's like we like one day I spoke to a couple, and they had twins, and that was their first, you know, so they don't know what one child is like, you know. They only know the craziness of 2 crying at the same time, you know. So.
And I know whenever I've seen you guys, it's the 2 of you together and the kids are there.
Right.
I mean, I think maybe one time I saw you run an errand or whatever, but the kids were with him, and you know, they were doing their thing. What would you say to someone who has a dream or has a vision, to encourage them to really go ahead and take the risk?
I mean, I would say wholeheartedly, just go ahead, just go for it. Don't think about what the naysayers are saying, because during this whole process, the majority of the time, it just seemed like we could only see 10 feet in front of us. We knew where we wanted to go,
Mhm.
So we just kept taking these steps almost in the dark with faith.
Mhm.
Total faith.
Mhm.
Total faith. I mean, and we've seen it. We've done it a few times, quite a few times, where we don't see an end, we don't see our destination, but we know where we want to go. So we
Mhm.
just keep taking these steps in the dark, and whoa, okay, there's light. So I mean, that's what I would tell any entrepreneur, anyone that's thinking that, oh, they gotta wait on this, they gotta wait on that, it's not the perfect time. Just do it. You know,
Mhm.
make some mistakes, and that's the fastest way
Yeah,
to success.
what I would say is, if you're waiting on the moons to align and everything to be perfect for you to have enough money in your bank account, for your kids to not be nursing anymore, for they to take off to school, and you just forget about it, because it's never gonna be perfect. There's
Right,
never gonna
right.
be, your house is not gonna be clean 10 days in a row. It's just not. You just, it'll be clean for 10 minutes, and then, back to the scurry of life and a real life. But I think as far as like people being encouraged, they have to be their biggest cheerleader. And one of the things I learned from my husband is to listen to positive affirmations. And I know it sounds cheesy, but really successful people do that. You learn.
Yes, yes.
I'm reading the Duggars now. I'm reading 19 and Counting, because I love the Duggar family and they inspire me. No, I don't want to have 19 children. No, I do not want to have that many children. But yes, I pull energy and love from that family. And I think that goodness, I like listening to Eric Thomas, E.T., the hip hop preacher, on YouTube at 5 a.m. in the morning when I'm washing dishes. Like, how do I stay positive? How do I stay motivated? Someone was just asking me, how did you do Kickstarter? How did you have a successful Kickstarter campaign? And I told them. And, they have a family as well. And they're like, wow, did you have a business plan? I said, yes, I did. How long did it take you? It took me a while, because I kept wanting to think about the whole thing as one big piece, and I had to finally realize I got to do it page by page, section by section, just little bits and pieces, but